Hello, you hardcores out there, how you doing? It's Rusty from Porky's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. We say the things on here that nobody dare say. How's my good friend Anthony doing? You all right?
Mr. Porky, could you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. What you on with?
I'm good, thank you very much. Have we got a conversation for the boxing public today?
Oh my God, eh? They're going to love this one, aren't they?
Yeah, because my view on last night is that you saw the best and the worst of boxing, or what we could call boxing entertainment, all on plain view, you know? So,
Well, we'll start with Muhammad Al That's Joe Gallagher's fighter. He beat the Angel Gomez, and Al Mayuf beat Jonitas Rodrigo Gomez de Oliva. Then obviously
yeah.
they're not the big talking point. We'll leave the best till last. Virgil Ortiz Jr. What did you make of him?
I didn't think he was as convincing as he should have been, right? His opponent, Madronov, was running about for the first half of the fight. And when he actually planted his feet and started having a go at him, he made that a very good fight. The fight, in my opinion, started 6 rounds in. I
Yeah.
mean, what did you think of that? And I thought that once he did that, it was a good fight. But
Yeah.
it's a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. It flattered to deceive. That's what my opinion on that was.
Well, he's a golden boy fighter, isn't he? Virgil Ortiz, and you could tell that, couldn't you, by Bernard Hopkins jumping around like a banshee in background.
Yeah, yeah, and it was a precursor to what you're seeing. Is there's certain fighters, in my opinion, that are protected, and you begin to wonder about the undertone of what's going on in boxing. Are we getting the pure sport that we want, where the very best, in the end, are coming up against the very best, and all the politics is outside the ring? And in my opinion, there's some fights, this being one of them, which you got to ask some questions about because I wasn't listening to the corner instructions that much from Madronov, but I just thought for the first half of the fight, I don't know whether he was throwing the fight, but he's running around and being completely ineffective. And it's only in the second part of the fight where he's actually coming to box and fight and to try and win.
Mm. Yeah, well, he won anyway, so unanimous decision. Moving on from him, Shakur Stevenson fought a kid from Doncaster, Josh Padley. Uh, you think Shakur Stevenson is a protected fighter and that Bombay Dave tried to make out that he wasn't really a good person, he couldn't look good against him and all that? Well, look, if he's supposed to be pound for pound, he should be taking him out like Andre Ward took Paul Smith out, aka Jim Royal. You see where I'm coming from?
Absolutely, Porky. Padley, one of the things I think I actually sent you a message and I said, you know what? You really got to give that kid his flowers. He's what
Yeah.
area level, isn't it? It was just a couple of years ago, he was fighting for an area belt. He's had 48, 72 hours notice, and he's actually fought his heart out, but he's very limited.
Yeah.
If you've got a guy, a multi-belt holder, that has had all the accolades, he's got skills to burn, and he's having a competitive fight for 8 rounds. Well, not say competitive. He's actually having a fight. If he is what they're telling us he is, he should be able to shut that kid down and get him out there. He should be doing what Sugar Ray Leonard did to Dave Boy Green. That's what he should be doing because the golfing skill and class, in my opinion, is that much.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I just say one other point on that, Porky,
Yeah,
just
go on
before you
then.
move
Yeah,
on?
of course, come, yeah.
What I like to say about Padley in his corner is what I love about boxing because he's a limited kid and his corner love him and they're giving him really good advice because they said, listen, right, you've really done everybody proud. right? But what we're not going to do is sit there and allow you to take shots. So you've got to show us something, move about a bit. And they gave him every single chance he could get. And you know what, Porky? When you see people that gel as a team, that's what makes people fall in love with boxing. You've given this guy a shot, and it's his talent that has taken him there. And the people who've got his best interests at heart have pulled him out at the right moment and not let him take damage.
Yeah, good luck. Well done to his corner team for throwing towel in after night because he had no quitting him, Josh, did he?
He didn't have any quitting in him, but he was starting to get pieced up, and
Yeah.
and we don't want to see that because we've
Saved
already
him for
seen.
another day, aren't they?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm going to save the best for last. I'm looking at the rest of it here. Zhang, Ajit, Cavel. I didn't cover it in my video earlier because I rushed it out. Cavel, do you think for all the hype around him, he's not that good and he's out of shape?
Yeah, I thought that what I thought about Caballero is that he had a very good game plan.
Mm,
He knew he was in there with an old man. So
mm.
what do? You show everybody that he's an old man. How do you do that? Everybody knows that Zhang has got a very dodgy cardio. He's
He
got a very
struggled
dodgy.
against the southpaw, though, Ajit Cabayel, so Usyk could bury him.
Correct, right? So what has he done? He's gone and chopped. I think I actually sent you a message on this. He started chopping Zhang to the body straight away, and you can actually see the redness of his belly. And it's so funny. Before the knockdown, I was actually messaging you saying, "Listen, I predicted he's going to
Yeah.
stop him. He's going to stop him even earlier."
You
And
were
as soon as
basking
I'd
in the glory, Anthony.
and as soon because I could see what he was doing, right? So we had a good game plan, but again, Caballel, it's old men,
Yeah.
right? And hype jobs that he's beaten. It would be nice to see him in a proper competitive top five fight now so that we
Yeah.
could see who has really got the skills. Because let's face it,
Yeah, go on, keep
you know,
talking. Yeah, go on.
anybody who can, anybody against Zhang, what you've got to do is be careful in the first 3 or 4 rounds when he's actually got some battery life left, right? If it goes beyond that, let's have it right. He's going to be blowing out of his ass. It's as simple as that. And you saw it because he was stopped badly to the body, right? He wasn't moving and getting up from that knockdown. So yeah, it was as I expected because if we go back and look at what I predicted, I
Yeah.
said that Caballel, if he's any good, will get rid of him in the second half of the fight. And when I saw that what he was doing, I said it would come earlier, which is what happened.
Well, I think Zhang's a world class southpaw for 3 rounds. But if you remember, he was at the 2000 Olympics, wasn't he? Was it 2000? He got a silver.
Correct. He's an
And
old man. It's
yeah, and
simple as that.
he was at the Olympics when he went Joshua. He fought Joshua in the Olympics, didn't he? And got beat, didn't he? He was really the
Correct.
only guy that Joshua beat in the Olympics because all the others, we all thought Joshua lost against them, the other three, didn't they?
Yeah, but it was London, wasn't it? So
Pardon?
hometown. Those Olympics is the London, isn't it? So it's a hometown decision.
Yeah, well, I thought that was the most corrupt Olympics I've seen since the Mayweather one in Atlanta in '96, where Mayweather got shafted, and the Roy Jones one. They were all bad ones, then. But the Joshua's he were given gifts one in
Yeah,
Joshua. Oh,
and and also Amanda Holyfield in the Olympics, isn't it? They ruled with
Holyfield as well. That were in '84, wasn't it, against Kevin?
correct, and they said that it was after that punch was right on the bell.
Well,
You're
that was
not gonna
Parky's old trainer, wasn't it?
indeed, So yeah, it's look, Zhang was always a busted flush because everybody knows he's good for 3 rounds. That's it. If you can negate that or keep out of distance, he's tailor made for somebody like Usyk. Usyk will dance around him for 3 rounds and then have him out there in more destructive fashion than what Caballero did.
Okay. Caballero, though, what is he, 42, coming up 42, an old fat man. And they're hanging around the game like bad smells, aren't they now, these old fat men?
Well, again, boxing's meant to be a young man's sport, and it's not as if we haven't got a good crop of young heavyweights coming up, right? We've got the Atama kid, and we've got that Russian Nigerian kid as well, isn't it? What's his name?
Yeah. In where the Hearn's got.
Yeah, what's his name? Not
I
beautiful. They
can't
call him.
pronounce it because I'm no good with foreign names.
Yeah, his mum's Russian and his dad's Nigerian, and he seems good. Why aren't we developing these people to really get the blue ribboned uh, division of the sport doing it? Why have we got all these old men, the Chisoras, the Joyces? All these are still hanging about, and they keep, as you say, keep wheeling them out like like old people in wheelchairs.
Yes. I mean, I can't even pronounce Zhang's first name, so I'll just call him Chat Shit
Big,
Get Zanged.
Big Bang Zang.
Big Bang
He's good
Zang.
for 3 rounds. That's it.
Yeah.
Got a hell of a dig of it on him as well because he doesn't load up the shots, does he?
He blows out his arse after 3 rounds, doesn't he? And he's not really developed from amateur. That's my own personal opinion. He's not a. He's always hanging on for dear life, and if you could take him in deep water, you can drown him like a crocodile had drowned, a deer. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
Okay. Uh, Joshua Buatsi against the giant mute. We had the giant mute to get beat on points because we said his tools weren't sharp, if you remember. But Joshua Buatsi, if that's the giant mute's best win after George Groves, he's had a wasted career because Buatsi's not a world champion and he ain't got a world title in him, in my opinion, now. But Virgil Hunter, for all the praise and best trainer in America, this and that, blah, blah, blah. What has he done after Andre Ward? He's never had a champion, and he's had everybody on back of Ward, hasn't he?
Yeah. Porky, again, because you and I are boxing purists, we were obviously going for Buatsi because he's the up and comer. He's been steered in all these different directions, and this should have been Buatsi's coming out party, right? And I did pick him, like you did, over Callum Smith. What would I say about Buatsi? That was a damp squib for him. He has not got world class level in him. He should be having at least one or two extra gears on an opponent like Callum Smith. By the way, I want to say that it was an excellent fight. The toing and the throwing. You know,
Yeah.
when boxing's good, there's always shifts in the momentum, and we saw that. And I'm not going to sort of put down Boatsi's heart or anything. He showed all that,
No,
but he's
no.
showing heart against what I'd say is a very limited guy at world level. That's the problem.
Callum Smith's a top 10 guy, isn't he? He's not a world champion. He's not elite. He's a top 10er, isn't he?
Yeah. And also, what this fight has showed is that when you don't make the right fights at the right time, somebody gets beat and it pops the balloon of the fight. Because when you look at the Buatsi Yard fight now, how many people want to see that now?
Nobody do they really know. They want
Right?
to see Yard
That should
against
have been a
Smith.
good payday and a learning fight for both of those fighters several years ago. And that's what grates your gears and grates my gears in boxing. Is it boxing or is it boxing entertainment for special interests? That's the problem.
Best card ever.
Absolutely not.
No.
Well, listen, it had the potential to be one of them,
Yeah.
but boxing politics has let's leave it till the end because I'm gonna have to go full nuclear on some of the fights there.
Oh my God, we haven't even got warmed up yet, Anthony. Uh, so we've covered Callum Smith and Joshua Buatsi, whose trainer is an absolute cock, and
Yeah, he's
and
had
he's,
too
and
many
he's a
people.
parole officer as well, so I don't like him. Uh, Callum Smith is with Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt, the go-to guy. I'm not having it that he's this big saviour. Callum Smith should have been taking him out, size of him, but Callum Smith, I realised how limited he were. He got his eye got smashed up. I've seen fights with eyes not as bad as his, and they were stopped. So I think we
Correct.
were given the benefit of the doubt. The referee let him fight. I think it was our Foster. Well done.
And everybody said that that was from a clash of heads. It wasn't. That was a right hook that did that.
Yeah, yeah. And then we've got Martin Bakole against Joseph Parker. Now, Martin Bakole, 22 and a half stone. With this age, jetted in at 2 a.m.
Correct. Right, Porky, I need to go a bit more nuclear on that.
Go on then.
Was that Martin Bakole in there or was it his dad?
Well, they
Right?
cleaned off his elephant after eating grilled crocodile and got free flights to Saudi, and he turned up for the payday and folded like a stamp.
Porky, one of the things that you do is you said that you have a go at the boxing board, the chairman of the boxing board of control to say, what marks do you give yourself out of 10? Right? This is one of them. The boxing board of control are there to protect the fighter. And because Daniel Dubois, John Coffey, is ill, he's not allowed to fight. Are you telling me that they're all blind? Because you look at Bakole, and I saw him interviewed after he's landed, and I already said this guy can't fight because this is a big experiment on how to tire out a guy and pretend that training doesn't matter.
They've got rid of Bakole now, haven't they? They've burst his bubble now, haven't they? As a danger man. Because it wasn't 3 years ago we were fighting at 17 stone. Now he's 22 and a half stone. How can he put up a good performance? He was bigger than butter bean.
That was an outrage, Porky, and we actually called it because I want to say is that I was very, I'm really heartened that I've managed to get, or we've managed to get. A lot of people are talking about our chemistry, but the thing is, Porky, it's it's just two boxing guys talking. That's what it is. Okay, it's just two boxing guys talking, right?
Yeah.
And what we said in the video that's got the 7,000 views is that I actually came up with Lennox Lewis in South Africa and how underprepared he was. And I saw somebody in the chat said, "Oh, you're protecting Lennox Lewis's glass chin." Here's the thing, Porky. In the rematch, which he actually prepared for, he still had that same glass chin, correct?
Yeah.
Right. That is preparation, right? Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. The 6 Ps. I want to repeat that. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. And what we saw there was an absolute outrage and an insult to boxing.
Nobody's questioning it, are they, in media? Nobody's saying a fucking word about it. They're just saying, "Oh, it's a bit of a disaster for Bakole. He gambled." No, it would have fucking shit show putting him on in that at that size. As soon as he got in the ring, you could see around his midriff. He were as fat as a pig Michelin man.
Look at his timing. His timing's all off. He's slow and he's lumbering around. And the first thing I said is, this guy is going to get seriously hurt. And is that what it's going to take in boxing? For people to start asking questions about what are we really doing? Because that guy was not fit enough to fight a high-level heavyweight fight.
Who advised him, Anthony? Billy Nelson? Yeah. Did he want a payday? Yeah. Does Billy Nelson care for his fighter? I say no.
Nobody in their right mind is going to allow that to happen. Not only that, he's had, circa 10 hours, maybe more on a plane.
Have you noticed how they got rid of Joe Joyce, when he took that Zhang fight, and now they've got rid of Bakole. They're getting rid of these bogeymen, aren't they? Putting obstacles in front of him.
Guys they think are not commercially viable. What they do is they sideline them. And this is a perfect case. Look at
Cavel Zhang.
Correct. And look at what you see again. And in my opinion, right? There's skullduggery.
They tied him up for years at Matchroom, won't give him a fight.
Correct. And if you look at it, look at the promoter. Bakole is a boxer fighter. Yeah. And Ben Shalom Adrian Mole has had a shocker of a night, hasn't he?
Bakole and Buatsi.
He's lost them both, right? And I'll tell you what it is, in my opinion, it's a lesson from Bricktop in how to be a promoter and how to ruthlessly put your pawns and your chess pieces in the right squares. And he hasn't done that.
No, he has not. And you know what? It's pretty embarrassing, but we keep talking about Parker, and the media are all going, "Oh, like Bombay Dave's and Horsecock." They're saying, give Parker his title shot. Now, Parker came in at 19 stone 1, and let me tell you this. Parker's CV. Let me just play this from Terry. Let me just play this. Terry sent me this. Before I play this from Terry, I'm just going to say my bit on this, right? Joseph Parker has beat Chisora twice, a shot fighter, Big Bang Zhang, a man in his 40s, big fat man, shot to bits. Wilder shot to pieces. And a few cream puffs. And now he's just beat a guy who's just flown in from the Congo. 22 and a half stone, big fat man out of shape. And
In
he
a
just beat
farce.
him. He was spoon fed him. He must have been thinking this is target practice. So, how are we supposed to believe that Parker's a roadman? Listen to this from Terry. He nails this, Terry. This is just 22 seconds of Terry at his finest.
Mate, you're spot on. Boxing's so weird, isn't it? Like Joseph Parker's the guy that went life and death with Andy Ruiz and Hughie Fury, not exactly top tier. He's the guy that got dropped by Dillian White, not exactly top tier. He's the guy that got wiped out by Joe Joyce, not exactly top tier. So what do we mean when we say that this guy is suddenly one of the best heavyweights? No, like we've got history to tell us that he's not.
There you go. You heard that, didn't you?
I couldn't agree more. And what it is, it's symptomatic, Porky, that we're fed a narrative. Somebody is in the ears of Jug Ears Oliver. Somebody's in the ears of Horsecock.
Bombay Dave.
Get out this narrative, because what people, I tell you what they're doing, right? It's raining hard outside. That's what they're telling us. And if you look up, they're pissing on us. That's what's going on.
They're pissing
And
on
I'm
us
not
like
happy.
with the cocks out like that. Like that.
I'm not happy.
They love
The
it,
reason
don't they?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, Porky, because the irony with this show, which we're going to get to, is that you then see the other side of boxing where you see two elite fighters and you're on the edge of your seat every minute of every round and you don't know.
What do you mean with Bivol and Beterbiev?
Oh, goodness gracious me.
What a fight that will make for the purists, eh?
And I was saying that with you. And not only that, here's the thing. This is what tells you when someone's elite. They gave us an excellent fight last time. This time, they've both adjusted and moved up a level, right?
They went for it a bit more, didn't they?
Correct, right? And what you see, in my opinion, is that Beterbiev is now slightly starting to show his age simply because he had Bivol under the cosh in the, from is it round 3 and whatever. And all of a sudden, Bivol, with skills to burn, as you said in our last conversation, was able to re-raise him and start boxing beautifully. I looked at that and I thought, my God, this sport is so good when it's left to people with skills and when both these people have earned their way into that ring. And that's what we get. And if people said, do you want to see that again? Here's what I would say, Porky. Every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. Because that, my friend, is boxing.
Yeah, we want to see that again, don't we? The trilogy.
Of course we do. And the thing is, as well, is that you suddenly start hearing they're going to put Benavides in the mix and whatever, which in my opinion is old manning Beterbiev if they do that. But what I'm saying is, for all those people who want to see how good boxing is, look at that top show and look at how those elite athletes conducted themselves in the ring. No quarter was asked for or given.
Correct. Right. The main course. Carlos Adames against Amjad Shearers. Take it away, Anthony.
Right. I've got a personal vendetta against the nonsense that went on. I'll tell you why. My favourite fighter of all time, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, used to be the owner of that belt. And he had to get a congressional hearing to get his title shot. And for all those old men like us who remember the Finnegan brothers, in my opinion, when Hagler was fighting the Finnegan brothers, he was already champion. And that was 2 years before it came on paper against Vito Antifermo. And you've got these two very ordinary, beatable guys. I actually said that Adames isn't what everybody's saying he is, because when you look at his record and you look a bit deeper, the kid that beat him, it was a Brazilian kid that beat him. He then went after that win on a losing streak of 3 fights. You don't get world-class operators that do that. So what that tells you is that guy is a belt holder. I also said in our last conversation that Hamza Shiraz is an ambassador for Riyadh season and Turkey. He clearly lost that fight.
He's managed by Spencer Brown, isn't
he? Yeah. He's lost that fight. And then you've got Bricktop saying, well, I had it really close. It was not close. Those two guys there cannot carry the jockstrap of some of those fighters who've held that belt.
Whenever Bricktop's fighter gets a draw, he screams that he won, but now he's saying, well, we're close. Get Bricktop.
And not only that, we had the excuse immediately put out there by Bricktop. I don't know if you saw it, is that Shiraz had a broken hand, correct?
Load of rubbish. Let me tell you this, right? An hour before the fight, he signed the form to say he were fit to fight. And now they're saying, he struggled at weight and all that. He's a super middle boiled down. Well, he passed all check weights to fight at middleweight, so he's a fucking middleweight, isn't he?
Right. I want to go even further than that.
Right.
The person they are comparing him to, right? We're told he's the next coming of the Hitman Hearns, correct?
Tommy Hearns and Amzad Shiraz.
Right. That Hitman Hearns fought for that same belt with a broken hand, and we didn't find out about it until months afterwards. And look at the fight he gave one of the all-time greats, Hagler, for that belt. Look at that fight. I watched that. If ever I'm depressed, I go and put on Hagler, right? V Hearns, round 1. And I'm thinking, what did I just see? They're like two alley cats.
Yeah,
right?
That
is the prestige of that belt. And we've had a very beatable champion almost get jobbed on the cards because the ambassador put in a stinker of a performance. That is shocking. And I actually messaged you and I said, Porky, that's a shocker. And we do not want that, because here's the thing about power. Power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's what we saw, is an outrage.
An outrage. Well, listen, one judge had it 118, 110 to Adames. Another judge had it a draw, but this other judge had it 115, 114. So how can he be 9 rounds out in a 12-round fight? What are we watching?
Well, it's a narrative that's being sold. And what you're seeing is protected fighters getting preferential treatment. Look at what happened with him in the Bradley Skeet fight. He should have been disqualified. He absolutely laid into him when he's on the ground. Was it 2 or 3 punches? It's so obvious that's a disqualification, and that didn't happen. He's being protected. It's an outrage, Porky. And it is an affront to anybody that wants to watch boxing for its pure sport, because we know what we can get, because we saw that with Beterbiev Bivol. That's what we want. And if we can get fights like that all through the card, that is what will make this card the best. If you look at
Callum Smith against Buatsi, theirs were a level below Bivol's and Beterbiev. There's one elite and there's one top 6 between top 6 and top 10 sort of guys going at it, and others were the best in the division going at it. That's the difference. But that Shiraz and Adames, they were like 2 British stroke European level guys going at it, weren't they? Really, European at all.
And you've got the WBC, We Be Crooks, saying that this is for the title. Oh my God, Hagler will be turning in his grave. They'll be looking at that and saying, would you put those guys in as sparring partners for Hagler?
So would Carlos Monzon.
Exactly, the great Argentinian. Unbelievable. You know what I mean? Unbelievable fighters. Bernard Hopkins, another one who's had it.
Hopkins, we sat watching it thinking, how is this for my old fucking belt?
Porky, listen, boxing makes your blood boil when you see the nonsense and the corruption. But then you sit down and then it serves up the fights that we want to see. And it serves up the gelling of styles and everything that makes this sport magical. I have been ringside at Ben McClellan and I couldn't believe it. The guy that I took, it was his first fight he'd ever been to. I looked at him and he was white as a sheet. And I said to him, mate, they don't always go like that. And do you know what his response was? He goes, I see why they have rounds. They have 3-minute rounds so that the crowd can get their breath back for what we're seeing. That, my friend, is boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Let's have a look. What did you think to the media, the Talk Sport lot, and Bombay Dave and Horse Cox and Anna Woolhouse's performances? What did you reckon to them all? Do you think they're
Well,
still all trying to big certain fights because they didn't really hammer Bakole, did they, for his size?
well, let's have it right. Remember what we were being told by Juggies. He said that the Bakole fight is better than the John Coffey fight with the New Zealander, right? That's what we were
Yeah,
told.
that's what Juggy has said. Yeah,
Right. Well, we see, and here's the funny thing, Porky. Both me and you were calling that before it happened. We're not sort of
we
Monday,
just go on
as
the
they.
basics, Anthony. If you look at the size of the guy, let me tell you a little story. Right, Mark Tibbs once said this to me, and he got this off his dad. He says, "You know, when I can tell if a fighter's fit, is when I've not seen him for a few weeks." He says, "I said how?" He says, "I don't want to hear about them. I'm not going to say which certain fighter." He says, "But I don't want to hear about they've done this exercise, that exercise, blah blah blah." While he's been away, Mark, he just says, "Look, just get on fucking scales." That's what his dad has said. Just get on them scales, and we'll see what you've been doing for the last few weeks. And there you go. Now you take one look at Bakole, and you think, when he's at his peak, he's 17, 17 and a half, isn't he? Now he's been fighting at 22 and a half. You see where I'm
He's,
coming
he's,
from?
he's not been living the life. And again, I'd go to, you could see my profile pic of the great Joe Fraser when he knocked over Ali in the 15th round of their 1971 fight. He said, champions are made outside the ring.
Yeah.
They are just exposed under the lights because what you do under the lights shows the work and the dedication and the mindset when nobody is looking. And what you see with Bakole, he's been having a laugh in Africa and whatever. In my opinion, here's something else I'd like to say. How, if he's an elite fighter that is going to be taking care of all these heavyweights, is he that out of shape 2 or 3 months before a fight that he knows about in a Jagba? That's outrageous. What that is a Tyson Fury weight loss camp with a little bit of boxing mixed in at the
Well, he's
end.
been fighting at 20 stone recently, hasn't he? Bakole, but a few years ago, it was 3 years ago. I've been told he was 17 stone. I don't know if you looked on box rec, but you'd think 17, 18 stone, but not 22 and a half. So why risk it? I mean, Joe Joyce risked it against Zhang, didn't he? But they got,
Correct.
and it makes you wonder if they're dangling carrots to get him out of the way, doesn't it? You know.
Yeah. Not only that, it also shows you how corrupt money is because what's now going to happen with him is he's still got the Ajagba. I don't actually think he has the Ajagba fight because he's lost by KO, correct?
Yeah,
And therefore
but they're saying that, well, it's only a month. You can't fight for a month, can you? But a Jagba's in May, and
I
Derek
thought it was 90
Chisora.
days or 60 days or is it 30
Oh, I don't
days?
know. Well, it's WBO they've just fought for, it? But it's IBF eliminated, final eliminator. But Derek Chisora has just come out and said, no, he's still got the Jagba fight and they're getting 3 million. But we're hearing different reports about what he's got. But I don't care. What I want to know is this: who's advising this fat prick to get in ring like that and show boxing up with big old Derby on him and big ripples up his back and that? Disgusting.
He was carrying a baby under those protectors, wasn't it? That is an outrage of a fight. And I just want to say again, Porky, you do a really good job. And I'll tell you why you do a good job. This is a platform in which really passionate fans could come on, like I've done,
Yeah.
right? And have their piece. And if the more of us that do it, I'm telling you now, boxing cannot ignore it because it's the elephant in the room. And what we want to do with Porky's Corner is to get it bigger and bigger and bigger, get more views up, get more people coming onto the commission because you cannot get away with an outrage like that of a guy in the middle of the jungle in Africa on a 20-hour flight as fat as a pig. And when he walked in there, I went, oh my God, they're not going to do this. And you've got the Boxing Board of Control presiding over this, and they're all about safety.
No
Come on.
control.
Come on. What are we, schmucks on wheels, as the
No, they're not calling
Americans would
shots
say?
now. Turkey's calling shot. All the rest of them just dance to his tune, don't they?
Look, do the ratings mean anything if you can make it up as you go along?
These rankings and governing bodies don't mean no now. Mandatories don't mean no, because as soon as you're mandatory and all that, if you're number one and you're ready for mandatory fight, because they call it, don't they, within so many days, they're just offering you fights and moving everything about and lobbying for certain people to have certain rankings. And if it looks like an hard fight for the champion or something that's not commercially viable, they're moving them on. That all freezing you out. That's what's going on. It's in
I want to go back to my
eyeballs, this, and none of these media outlets are pulling them up on it, only me. You know?
I want to go back to my favorite fighter, Marvin Hagler, right? And if he looking down at this, would not believe the fiascos what's going on, because he had to have a congressional hearing for him to get a title shot. And then when he got his title shot, which he clearly won, I've watched the Antifermo 1 fight so many times, he clearly won, they jobbed him on the cards, which is why he then says, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring in some unconsciousness into my fight repertoire, because then we don't need judges, right?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, right, that Adamis guy needed a knockout to get a draw. For Hagler's old belt, come on, man. The boxing has a lineage, and it used to be a mark of pride that somebody could do A, B, C, and D. Now they're all politicked in. It's an outrage, Porky.
It is, mate. Okay, well, listen.
Sorry about that. I had to go really scorched earth on this, but you know,
No
I had
problem,
to.
Anthony. It's been great to get you on, and I'm going to have a bit of Sunday dinner and a bit of Sunday roast.
Good, man. Listen, thank you very much.
I'm glad
I could do it, and I'll tell you what, right? In finishing, we saw the best and the worst of boxing on true display yesterday. And not only that, the two of us actually called it, because we called it with the Bakole fight. And then we were saying, look what we're going to get with Beterbiev Bivol. And they served us. Let's have some more of that.
Okay. You take care, mate.
Good man. Thank you very much, mate. Porky. Bye. God bless you.
Bye. Well, that were Anthony. Nice to have him on. Women love him, men want to be him. I didn't call the Callum Smith fight. I got that one wrong, didn't I? I didn't think Callum Smith's tools were sharp enough to beat Buatsi, because he's not been active as a Callum Smith, but he performed out of his skin. I'd like to see him fight Yard now, but they're probably going to put him in with Buatsi again, which I ain't got a problem with. But I'd like to see Yard in the mix. Maybe Yard against Willie Hutchinson. Yeah, but Yard needs to get a move on, doesn't he? Now that him and Tunde Ajayi, lion bars in the fridge, hanging out the back of Bricktop. Dream it, believe it, become it. So that's about it, really. I'm knackered. Shower now, some bit of roast dinner. So one piece out. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. One piece out.